The Minnesota FFA elected state officers last Friday. We talk about the older times in FFA. This time of the year brings to mind Career Day at your local school. We talk about some of the old career days past, and the drone company DJI plans to enter into the autonomous vehicle market by pairing their vast autonomous knowledge and capital with a passenger car vehicle. We asked Dave about similar cross-manufacturer pairing in the ag sector. This is the Rural Reflections Podcast. Welcome to the Rural Reflections Podcast. You've got Rural Reflections West in Dave Nelson over in Carrington, North Dakota, and Rural Reflections East, myself, Grant Nelson, here at the studios of Thief River Falls Radio. Dave, one of my favorite phrases, I'm coffeeed out of my brains, which is perfect because it's time for coffee talk. How's everything going out in Carrington this morning?
Well, it started off pretty cold. It was in the mid-20s, and now it's about 45, and my phone's been ringing and ringing and ringing, so there's people trying to plant this afternoon, I suppose.
I suppose they're going to get as much in as they can, and they're a little bit worried maybe about some snow or something?
Well, yeah, we're supposed to be having snow and rain coming up here next 3 days, so I don't know. Looks like a quarter inch of moisture is all they're predicting out of it, but, if you're a farmer, you do what you can when you can, and then when it's raining, you wait for it again. So,
going to hunker down mode and wait for whatever's next. This week, I had something kind of interesting come up on my radar. Got a young man from Thief River Falls. Actually, he's from Mavie, which is like being from Viking, only a little smaller because there's only a couple people who still live in Mavie. And he went down to the state FFA convention, and he was elected vice president for the state of Minnesota. I had an opportunity to interview him last night, and I just wanted to play a quick piece of the interview for everybody because I asked him a little bit about the process for becoming a vice president, or really for running for any of the offices from the FFA. And it's pretty rigorous. Anyway, his name's Wyatt Halverson, and I'll let him tell us about what it's like to run for office for the future farmers of America.
Absolutely. Well, the process is nothing short of insanely rigorous. I'll start by saying that. We had 11 amazing candidates who worked for about, I think, a total of 10 to 12 hours or something like that about a week ago, doing live interviews. Consists of speeches and one-on-one discussions, facilitation, you name it, and we did it. And this morning, all of us candidates got together. We had an awesome group breakfast. We had some awesome professional development workshops that we were able to attend, and then got to sit in on the live session that was filmed on the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in the CHS Miracle of Birth Center, to where our new slate was announced. And let me tell you, the energy in the room was amazing. Although tense, it was super duper happy and just overall inspirational. I'm super duper excited to be on this team for next year, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Wasn't that awesome, Dave? I mean, now this was just after he had been elected, so he was really excited. But I mean, his enthusiasm just got to me. He's going to his plans are to be a veterinarian. He's going to the University of Minnesota for veterinary sciences. And I thought his enthusiasm was just infectious. Dave, you were in FFA way back when, too. What was it like for you?
Well, it was something that really made you amp up your game a little bit, especially because you're around a bunch of people like he spoke about that are trying to do their very best. And so it was very much like that. It was very interesting how strictly they adhered to parliamentary procedure and that kind of thing. And it taught you some of the disciplines of business. And I've been part of Chamber of Commerce and several different boards and the parliamentary procedure of them is pathetic compared to what we did in FFA. So it's really something that makes you try and do your absolute best.
Yeah, I like that idea. And I see so many people who go through Future Farmers of America who end up being leaders, not only in the agriculture community, but throughout larger areas of communities. And I think it's important because we need to have people who are influenced by agriculture who can be part of our politics or just leadership within communities.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's great to teach young people that because they don't have that opportunity in a lot of different places where they are. Actually, we have in our FFA chapter here a lot of kids that are not farm kids at all. As a matter of fact, I would think the majority of them probably are not farm kids as we speak about them. Instead, a lot of them are kids whose parents probably work at an elevator or work at the NDSU Research Center or, something like that is related to agriculture, but not directly. And so we have a great number of the kids from town here that have turned into vocational agriculture instructors. Quite a number of them. Actually, I would guess there's probably at least a half a dozen or more that are right now running a vocational agriculture program in a school. So it's good because it keeps people who aren't directly related to agriculture involved in it.
That's right. That's a good way to look at it. We were talking with one of the people from the Extension Service here in Pennington County about the fair and how there's a lot of people competing in the fair now where they're maybe not directly on a farm, but they're even showing cattle. And they've got 15 grants set up through the state of Minnesota now where they're going to help support people who want to show animals but maybe don't have the facilities for it so they can get involved. And I started thinking about it, maybe for cattle even, it's getting to be a little bit more like showing a horse where maybe you only have one or two, but you have like a club calf kind of situation where you have the one that you groom and you get ready for the fair or for competition. And instead of having a large herd to choose from, you just see the competition itself just for that, just like a lot of times I see with horses. So maybe that's just the way we're changing a little bit, and it's a healthy thing, really, if to keep everybody still involved and, like you say, to bring people into agriculture who maybe wouldn't be otherwise.
Yeah, we have a very similar program to that here. The dairy provides young heifers and that to the kids that want to show. There's actually a druggist here who has set up a little feedlot at his farm, and he has goats and sheep and pretty much everything out there that the 4-H kids and the FFA kids work with. I went to the cattle sale at the fair, or the premium sale at the fair, and I hadn't been there for a number of years. There was so many animals, I couldn't believe it. We were down to the point where here there's a one dairy animal and all beef and maybe a sheep or two, and that's about it for the animals at the fair, to the fair barns being full again.
That's exciting because I remember back in the 70s, those barns were plumb full and there was a lot to look at, and it was really exciting to go to the fair. It's still exciting to go to the fair, even when animal numbers in the past were down, but if we can get them back up to those barn busting levels, I'm all for it. Dave, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Career Day back in our day and today. We'll take a break. This is the Rural Reflections Podcast. Welcome back to the Rural Reflections Podcast. Dave, I was thinking about it, and I think it was probably because of the weather, but it just felt like time for Career Day. Now, I remember when I was young, Ronnie Davidson flew a plane in next to the school. This is back in the 70s. I remember the Department of Natural Resources was there, and I think local law enforcement showed up, and they talked to us, and I thought it was like the most exciting day ever for grade school, because you're thinking about what am I going to do as I move forward in my life and that sort of thing. And it seems at that time in your life, it's all possibilities. Now, and we did that back in the 70s. Do you know, do they still have career day at the schools?
Well, we have it here. Actually, do it at a later age group, probably freshman and sophomore is who I've addressed. And they have the same thing. The game warden is there. The highway patrol is there. The local police. We have nurses, doctors, mechanics, pretty much anybody who will come and present. And you get a few minutes with a group. The kids sign up for the groups they want to be with. And so it takes up 2 to 3 hours of your afternoon, and you present to about 3 groups of kids about your profession.
Are they excited when you talk to them, or are they pensive? I mean, are they unsure of where they're going? Are they looking for direction, or are they pretty sure they're going to do this and they want to know what they're in for? Or?
I think they're all unsure what they're going to do, and they're just looking for information. I believe it's part of a class that they have, too, because there are 10 questions that they need to pick the answer to out of the presentation.
Okay.
So ahead of time, I'm given the things that they need to get out of it, and then they have to pick. And it's fun to watch the kids, because when they hear the answer to a question, the whole group all of a sudden starts writing. And so as long as they're listening and they're picking that stuff out, they're learning something, and they're there to be told about different professions so they can make a decision down the road.
How about from your perspective? Do you end up getting some new employees as a result of doing that on Career Day?
Yes, but of course it's down the road.
Yeah.
Of the 11 guys that work for me, 6 of them are co-op students that I've had. We're getting a real good return out of the investment that we put into the VOAG program here and the Career Day.
And I think that thing about not knowing what they're going to do in life, that might continue on for a while. That based on my own personal experience, that's an unsure part of your life that continues on really for quite a while. All right, let's get into a tech segment here, Dave. DJI kind of rocked the world here in the last few weeks. Well, they're planning on rocking the world probably sometime this week. But they, of course, build drones and action cameras. And what they're talking about is getting into the automobile business. According to reports, DJI Automotive will release its self-driving car tech, and that's at a gathering that's going on this week. There's even been a picture of one concept vehicle that showed up on my Twitter feed. Now, Dave, this isn't a full-blown building their own car sort of thing. This is something where they want to build the autonomous equipment that goes with a car that is either already in existence or with something that gets built for them. And I thought about this. I thought, first off, of course, Polaris is doing something with GEM right now that's kind of similar to that. And DJI has a lot of experience with autonomous drones, so they're going to have, the LiDAR background and all that sort of thing to probably make this happen. And, of course, they've got the money to make it happen, too. But it led me to think a little bit about agricultural technology and this merging of a vehicle or a machine that does work with the technology to make it autonomous. And I started thinking right away about tractors and combines and that sort of thing. And of course, we've already got a lot of combines and tractors out there. A lot of them are probably quite modern. They're probably, ready for a plug-and-play autonomous unit to be put in. But there's others that aren't. And looking through the used machinery lots, there's not a lot out there. So I was thinking maybe farmers are going to have to make do with what they have. My question is there precision equipment out there that is just basically a bolt-on to maybe a model or a make that it's not even related to? In this case, probably like Case IH precision equipment.
Yeah, well, there's everybody has, of course, their own specialty items that they add to their precision stuff, but we have a means to use our precision display for steering another type or another model of machine, as well as be the display for an implement to control an implement. So if we had a off-colored tractor and we wanted to run one of our planters on it, you just take our display and put it inside the cab and hook it up to the planter, and it operates as a monitor. But if you want to utilize it more fully and have a single display, do multiple things, you can put something called ElectroSteer into pretty much any type of tractor. And it's an electronic steering system that goes on the steering wheel, actually below the steering wheel. And then you can utilize that display for a planter monitor and do the same level of precision recording and that kind of thing, data recording and that kind of stuff, and steer the tractor at the same time. So you can have a colored tractor that doesn't have the right color display in it and the right color steering, but it steers it and works just fine.
Huh. That's amazing. That's something that you can merge those two technologies together. This morning, a friend of mine on social media took a picture of his cultivating, and I said, "Man, that is some beautiful cultivating. It's so nice and straight." And he goes, "Well, with GPS, all things are possible," because I always had trouble doing that. But GPS and autonomy, that's really, I think that's one of the earliest impact for sure, and really to this point, the biggest impact has been in agriculture.
Yeah, it really has been widely accepted. It's to the point of, people won't buy a tractor that doesn't have some kind of guidance in it. If it doesn't have it in it, you got to put it in it.
And I think sprayers are even maybe more important because you're putting out some awfully expensive spray, and if you can not overlap, you can save a lot of money in a short amount of time, can't you?
Yeah, it's moving even further than that. We're working with NDSU here, and they want to be able to spray square meters or 3 meters, certain areas, real small areas that they've flown over with a drone and created a weed map on, and then they want to go out and spray into that area and only spot spray with a 120-foot wide boom. Dang. So there's a lot moving towards less application and more specific areas where it's needed. Prescription fertilizing and stuff has become highly, highly popular, and people have found out that fertilizer goes in the places where you least expect it. They put it on the hilltops, and instead of putting so much in the low spots, because it tends to move down from the hilltops into the low spots anyway, and so they're finding that they're fertilizing a lot differently than they were. They thought where there's moisture, they would put their fertilizer, and not so much on the hilltops. But so there's a lot of movement towards applying in specific areas where it's needed, and not just such general casting of fertilizer and seed out in the field.
I feel like if we don't talk about precision farming at least every month, we're going to fall behind, you know? Dave, you got anything else for us this week before we let you go?
I guess not. We're just kind of hoping for some kind of a return to normalcy for moisture and get this crop in the ground and get it growing, because there's some big opportunities this year if you have a crop.
Boy, that's for sure. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll keep looking to the skies. Thanks very much, Dave.
Bye, Grant.
There he is, my brother Dave out in Carrington, North Dakota. I'm Grant Nelson here at the studios of Thief River Falls Radio, and this is the Rural Reflections Podcast.